The Black Widow movie has just flown onto our screens, and now that her story has come to a close in the MCU, I thought I'd pay tribute and take a look back at her entire life. From her early years in the Red Room, her time as an Avenger, all the way to her eventual death in Endgame. So, I'm Lydia from Screen Portal, and this is the complete Black Widow timeline. Oh yeah, and very quickly, the films in which Black Widow stars accumulates to almost 20 hours, so it should go without saying that I might miss some details out, but I've done my very best to make a cohesive timeline to encapsulate her life. So now that's out of the way, let's begin. Birth and early life, 1984 to 2004. Born in 1984, Natasha Romanoff was taken from her family as a baby. Recruited by the KGB under the authority of General Dreykov, she was enlisted in the Red Room Academy, where she was educated and trained to be a world-class spy. In 1995, a young Natasha and Yelena, along with KGB agents Alexei and Melina, had been posing as an ordinary American family, living in Ohio for a few years. Although they were only masquerading as a family, the fantasy brought a slither of unfeigned happiness into their lives. But unfortunately, this fantasy shattered when they were called back from their mission. Forced to leave their happy life behind, they were chased by the authorities and fled to Cuba to meet Dreykov. With their mission now over, the pseudo family were broken up, and Natasha and Yelena were sent for further training in the Red Room. Natasha was the Red Room star pupil, and she grew into becoming one of the world's greatest assassins, earning her the Black Widow mantle. During her time at the Red Room, she was put through her paces physically and psychologically, and even a part of the graduation ceremony included her being sterilized. Later on in life, she told Bruce Banner that the Red Room did this in order for efficiency, meaning that carrying a child may have distracted her from her assassin lifestyle and missions.
The one thing that might matter more than a mission.
And so, Natasha graduated and became a ruthless KGB agent. So much so, she caught the attention of Nick Fury, who sent Agent Clint Barton to kill Natasha. But instead, he recruited her, making her too an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Her and Clint became very close friends, and Natasha became the only other person who knew about Clint's secret family. The bond she formed with Clint and his family may have been a direct result of her lack of real family when she was a child. And so the two agents had many missions together, including one to Budapest. In the Budapest operation, she attempted to take down the Red Room in a bid to blow Dreykov up in his office. She hesitated after seeing his daughter, but gave the command anyway, blowing them up and killing them, or so she thought. Giving this command to kill an innocent child always haunted Natasha for many years. Age 20 to 26, 2004 to 2010. At the age of 20, Natasha began to build her new identity, using the name Natalie Rushman. During this time, she showed intelligence and adaptability, taking on a modeling career as part of an undercover operation. She worked in Tokyo, Italy, France, and the US, and so developed her linguistic skills too. By 2009, she had proven herself to be trusted by S.H.I.E.L.D. enough to go on missions, one including the infiltration of Stark Industries to spy on, you guessed it, Tony Stark. This was an objective to assess if Stark was fit to join the Avengers initiative put together by Nick Fury.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger initiative.
And so this leads us to her first on-screen appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Iron Man 2. Upon meeting Tony, he completed a background check on her, where all of her early alias credentials popped up. Impressed, Tony quickly made her his new assistant. Tony was in a bad place in his life when one of his suits was taken by Rhodey. Natasha contacted Fury and debriefed him on the situation. With Tony spiraling out of control, Fury stepped in and spoke to him. This is where Natasha arrived on the scene wearing her S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, revealing their secret identity as the Black Widow.
You're fired.
That's not up to you.
During the movie, Black Widow steps up and takes down multiple guards with absolute ease. No longer posing as a quiet assistant, we saw her kick ass and save the day by retrieving Hammer Industries data in the process. very quickly. If you're enjoying the video, then I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Only a tiny portion of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed, and although it may not seem like such a big deal, it honestly really helps me out when you click that sexy red button. Plus, it's free. Anyway, back to the video. Age 28, 2012. When Loki stole the Tesseract in 2012, it called for the Avengers to officially assemble for the very first time. While on a mission, Natasha was called in by Agent Coulson for help, and she was initially hesitant, but when she was told that Barton had been compromised, she returned immediately, before kicking some butt of course. Natasha was then sent to recruit Bruce Banner, which proved to take some convincing, but she assured him that they didn't need the Hulk, they just needed Bruce and his lovely brain. This first contact formed a bond between the two, and so proved that Widow was the voice of reason in the group. With most of the Avengers assembled, they set out to capture Loki to find the Tesseract. Bringing him into the helicarrier, they imprisoned him and interrogated him in a cage meant for the Hulk, but Fury couldn't get too much out of him. So Natasha took it upon herself to personally talk to Loki, questioning him on what he's done with Barton. She explains that she had read in her ledger and admitted to doing terrible things.
I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
Loki pushed her further, and Natasha pretended to break down in the hopes that Loki would reveal his true plans. And so it worked, learning that Loki intended to release the Hulk.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Natasha quickly made her way to Banner to try and get him to his designated room to avoid being enraged. During an argument amongst the Avengers, a brainwashed Clint shot an explosive arrow into the helicarrier, blowing part of it up. Natasha and Banner were thrown into another room, and Natasha briefly lost consciousness. Banner transformed into the Green Beast and almost killed her, throwing her aside and breaking 2 of her ribs. But luckily, Thor arrived just in time to stop him from doing more damage. However, her fight wasn't over. She quickly ran into a mind-controlled Clint Barton, and she managed to subdue him by hitting him in the head so hard it weakened Loki's control. When she knocked him out completely, he was taken by S.H.I.E.L.D. to be rehabilitated. Even though she just knocked him out, Natasha looked after Clint, who was tied down until they were sure that Loki's mind control had subsided. This is when Captain America interrupted, asking Natasha to fly the Quinjet. Clint explained that he could, and with Natasha's approval, Clint joined the team. They flew to New York to battle Loki's Chitauri army, but unlike her fellow Avengers who have super strength or special armor, Black Widow is just an ordinary person. Sure, she's a highly trained fighter, but she's still a human, which makes her all the more impressive.
You sure about this?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Working together as a team, the Avengers were able to take down the God of Mischief and entertain millions around the world. Now an established character and valued member of the Avengers, Natasha's intelligence and skill is showcased. But although she was only tricking Loki before, her wanting to seek redemption from her violent past wasn't fake. Age 30, 2014. After the Battle of New York, Natasha and Steve Rogers teamed up and became partners, running many covert missions together. Being a loyal S.H.I.E.L.D. agent brought purpose to her life, thinking she was finally fighting for the good guys, but her world would soon come crashing down once she found out that S.H.I.E.L.D. had become compromised. Her and Steve became fugitives for disobeying Alexander Pierce's orders, and they learned that Hydra has taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. and that they plan to use a weapon to assassinate world leaders, so she, Steve and Sam Wilson team up to take them down. As a master spy, Natasha posed as a member of the World Council, taking down Alexander Pierce. She began disabling protocols in order to release all of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra's secrets onto the web, including her own past.
Are you sure you're ready for the world to see you?
Are you?
After she finished, Pierce activated a trigger that caused all of the World Council members to die via a fatal chest shot. All except Natasha, of course. Pierce threatened to do it to her, but before he could, she activated a taser disc on herself, thus giving Fury the distraction to shoot Pierce.
Those really do sting.
Later on, Natasha had to attend an inquiry by the Department of Defense on all of the information she released to the public. They questioned her and threatened her with arrest based on her past, but she still walked out a free woman, but one who needed to start an entirely new life.
So if you want to arrest me, arrest me. You'll know where to find me.
In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, we delve deeper into Natasha's character. She became her own agent, and when she discovered Hydra had been taken over by S.H.I.E.L.D., she was hurt because she thought that she had joined the good side at S.H.I.E.L.D., and so was left insecure about her true identity. When she leaked all of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra's secrets, she was throwing away her entire life as a spy. There's no more lying about her past or who she is. And with everything to lose, she did what's right for the greater good. Age 31, 2015. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Natasha and the Avengers went to retrieve Loki's scepter from the Hydra research base. After the operation, Natasha used her lullaby method to calm the Hulk back into Bruce Banner. Since first recruiting him for the team, the two had grown a really close bond, and it seems she's one of the only few who can really understand him. Later, Tony Stark held a party at the Avengers Tower to celebrate their win against Hydra in obtaining the scepter. Natasha had a very intimate conversation with Bruce, and when all of the Avengers tried lifting Thor's hammer, she declined.
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
The party was interrupted by Ultron, who launched an attack on the Avengers and declared he would end them all. Later on, they tracked Ultron to a coastal scrapyard in Africa, along with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who were aiding him in taking vibranium. And so, a big brawl soon broke out. While Natasha was in combat, sneaky Scarlet Witch snuck behind her and inflicted a nightmare upon her. This caused her to see a vision from her past, her in the Red Room Academy executing an innocent man and being sterilized. Shaken by her experience, she was unable to give the Hulk his lullaby when he transformed, and so defeated, Clint Barton took the Avengers back to his home, revealing his wife and his family to them. It's here that we see the kids call Natasha Auntie Nat.
Did you bring any Nat?
Later on, Natasha and Bruce again have a conversation where they discuss how they considered themselves to be monsters, as well as the difficulties they would face having a life together. Later on, Natasha went with Clint and Steve to find Ultron in Seoul. After a lengthy battle, Natasha was knocked out and captured. She woke up at the Hydra research base in Sokovia. This is where Ultron revealed his plan to create a mass extinction, but after he left, she used a Cold War era communication technique to reach her fellow Avengers. Hawkeye eventually got the message, and the Avengers got suited and booted once more, flying to Sokovia. Bruce Banner came to release Natasha from her holding cell, and he begged her to run away with him, but she kissed him and pushed him down a hole, just so he'd transform into the Hulk and join the fight.
Now go be a hero.
As the fight wound down, she was instructed to calm the Hulk down, but she was interrupted by Ultron unleashing gunfire. The Hulk did get Natasha to safety before taking off in a Quinjet. Natasha, through a video link, tried to get the Hulk to turn off stealth mode so they could track him down, but he ignored her. She then joined Captain America once more in leading the new Avengers team. The events of Age of Ultron really gave us more insight into Natasha and her motives. She yearned for a normal life that was stolen from her as a child, but out of a sense of duty and loyalty, she sticks with the Avengers too. I personally believe that she longed for a life like Clint's family, normal and happy, but she believes it's just impossible for her. Age 32, 2016. Natasha was on a mission to intercept Crossbones with Scarlet Witch, Captain America and Falcon in Lagos, where he planned to steal a biological weapon. After taking out several men herself, they caught Crossbones, but he detonates a bomb which Wanda quickly diverts, but still accidentally kills innocent civilians, therefore provoking the events of civil war. General Ross informs the Avengers that their vigilante days were over, and that the UN were passing the Sokovia Accords, which will heavily regulate the team. This divides the Avengers, with Tony eager to sign and Steve not so. Natasha took Tony Stark's side and signed the Sokovia Accords, although she still showed her support for Steve Rogers, comforting him at the funeral of Peggy Carter.
I didn't want you to be alone.
When Steve Rogers went rogue with Bucky Barnes, the split Avengers come head to head at an airport. Even though on the opposite team, Black Widow and Hawkeye can't help but go easy on each other.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
When it came down to the wire, she let Steve escape and slowed Black Panther down from getting him.
I said I'd help you find him, not catch him. There's a difference.
This made her a fugitive, forcing her to go on the run. In Civil War, we see Natasha really come into her own as a fully fledged superhero. Without any guidance of the Avengers, she has to do what she believes is right, following her own moral compass, even if it makes her a fugitive of the law. This is probably one of the first times she really thinks for herself. Before in the Red Room, she was trained to kill, and in the Avengers, she was hired by Nick Fury, so kind of had to follow orders. This is a time where she really came to shine and became a true individual. Age 33, 2017. As a fugitive, Natasha was on the run from General Ross, living a quiet life out in the woods. But it's never that simple for our former assassin. When she's out driving one day, she's confronted by the Taskmaster, an expert fighter who can mimic anyone's fighting style, all in order to obtain the red dust antidote capable of breaking the Black Widow's mind control. She barely managed to escape and traveled to Budapest to find her adopted sister, Yelena. Together, they break out Alexei from prison before tracking down Melina. Although Natasha doesn't want to admit it, these misfits are the closest thing she's ever had to a real family, aside from the Avengers, of course.
Family. Back together again.
She hides behind a hard facade, but in reality, she really cares for them despite their flaws. Working together, they go inside Dreykov's base and plan to take him and the Red Room down for good. When face to face with the man who destroyed her life, she discovered that the Taskmaster is Dreykov's daughter, the one she believes she killed all those years ago. In short, she and her family blew up the base, broke the Black Widow's mind spell, and killed Dreykov and all of his men too. Booyah! After a high-flying fight, the Taskmaster and Black Widow crashed to the floor, but she managed to break the red dust, freeing the Taskmaster from her mind control too. At the end of the movie, Natty bids farewell to her family and sets off to find Steve. Age 34, 2018. During her time on the run, Black Widow bleached her hair to make her less recognizable. When Thanos began to collect the Infinity Stones, Bruce Banner called Captain America, Falcon, and Black Widow to warn them of the threat. The three of them then headed to Scotland to protect Vision from the Black Order, arriving just in time to save him from Thanos' adopted children. Afterwards, they travel to the new Avengers facility, where Natasha is reunited with Bruce, but their relationship isn't explored further.
This is awkward.
Instead, they all discuss how to keep the Mind Stone, which resided in Vision's head, out of Thanos' hands. And to do this, they have to travel to Wakanda. When the Black Order arrived in Wakanda, Black Widow joined the fight, and being the fearless fighter she is, Widow went head to head with Proxima Midnight and managed to beat her with assistance from Wanda.
That's really gross.
Once Thanos arrived in Wakanda, Black Widow tried to stop him, but her and the Avengers were outmatched. Using the Infinity Gauntlet, now enriched with all of the stones, Thanos snapped away half of humanity. But Natasha was part of that 50% still alive. Soon after, Captain Marvel came to rescue Tony Stark from space and brought him to the new Avengers facility. Nebula told the group that she knew where Thanos was and so set to find him, only to learn that he had already destroyed the stones.
I used the stones to destroy the stones.
This is where the Avengers finally realise that they have been defeated and all hope is lost. Age 39, 2023. 5 years after the snap, she's leading the Avengers, but despite barely holding it together herself, she's still trying to do good in a changed world. Steve Rogers came to visit her to tell her that maybe she should move on, but she tells him she can't and had nothing before the Avengers. They really became her family.
I'm still trying to be better.
When Scott Lang reappeared from the quantum realm with a possible way to bring everyone back using time travel, the three of them go to recruit Tony Stark, but he refused. So they go to Bruce Banner, who has now merged with the Hulk to become Professor Hulk. Their attempts of time travel failed, but luckily Stark figured it out and joined the team, so they could go back in time, gather the stones, and bring back half of humanity back again. Now with a chance of restoring life before the blip, Black Widow tracked down Hawkeye, who went on a killing spree after losing his family due to the snap, and she promised they'll bring them back.
Don't give me hope.
With the Avengers reassembled once more, they jump back in time.
See you in a minute.
They all go on their separate missions to collect the stones, where Natasha and Clint are sent together to get the Soul Stone, not knowing the cost they'd have to pay. When they arrive, they are met by the Red Skull, i.e. the Stone Keeper. The former head of Hydra informs them that in order to get the stone, one must sacrifice who they love. And it's absolutely tragic, but also morbidly lucky that Natasha and Clint were sent to retrieve the Soul Stone together, as they love each other like family. Come on, think about it. What if War Machine or Nebula were sent instead? The whole plan would be over and half humanity would still be, in ashes. Anyway, not willing to sacrifice one another, the two fight over who should fall to their death, and Natasha won the battle by sacrificing herself so the Avengers could achieve their mission. And as we all know, Banner was later able to reverse the blip, and although he also wished for Natasha to come back, she unfortunately stayed dead, and so her time in the MCU had to come to an end.
I miss him, man. Me too.
The once assassin is now a full-blown superhero who wiped out her Red Ledger and then some. She brought together a team even though all hope seemed to have been lost. She doesn't hesitate to sacrifice herself and was willing to do whatever she could to save the day and the world. So there you have it, folks. That ends the complete Black Widow timeline. Whose timeline would you like to see next? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.